Roberta showed up. I knew this man was for the streets, okay? When Roberta, his so-called female best friend, showed up, I was like, yeah, it's about to, no, this guy ain't shit. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am visiting my family right now, so I have a little bit of a different background. I'm at my family's place for the holidays, but I had to talk about this Love is Blind Italy reunion. I'm not gonna make this video too long, but there is a good amount of things that I wanted to discuss. So just to start off, we see all the couples entering. We see Giovani and Georgia, Alessandro, everybody's entering from different sides. And the first things I noticed are the only couples that sat together were Yoni and Alessandro B, and then Karen and Nicola, and then I believe the other one was Gerana and Parmmy. Okay, so those were the couples that sat together. Everybody else was kind of dispersed, which kind of gave me some inkling as to who might still be together possibly, and then who might have broken up. Okay, so let's just jump right on in. So basically they start with Gerana and Parmmy, and the host asks, there's still a couple today. That's what they want to know. Parmmy gives this long-winded, strange answer where he's talking about Gerana and how she was very thoughtful for saying no on decision day, and saying that she looked beautiful in her wedding dress. He's just saying a lot of nonsense, okay? To the point that the host has to ask again, Parmmy, or basically she asks again, like, are they a couple as of now? Parmmy eventually says, no, they are not a couple. Parmmy then mentions that if he had a chance to answer on the wedding day, because obviously they asked Gerana first whether she was going to say yes or no. You know, Gerana said no, so Parmmy didn't have the chance to tell his answer. Parmmy says that if he had the chance to say what he felt, he would have said no as well, which is very surprising, and I low-key don't know how true that is. I feel like Parmmy is saying that now maybe to save face, but in the moment and what we saw of the show and the clips we saw and how Parmmy was towards Gerana, I thought he was going to say yes. So he claims that he was also going to say no along with Gerana. Okay, Parmmy. I don't know if that's true. That's what he says. So we will go with that. Then they start talking about distance, and it's confusing because it seems like Gerana and Parmmy tried to make things work after, just after the wedding, and distance kind of got in the way of that. They're kind of going back and forth and talking about some of the reasons why they were not really able to rekindle everything after wedding day. But at the end of the day, on Love is Blind, a lot of times when there's a no on the wedding day, I don't think there's ever really been a couple that can recover from that, if that makes sense. Normally they just kind of don't move forward. So in my mind, I'm like, it's fine that it didn't work out between you guys. I personally think that Parmmy should just have moved on. Gerana's issue with her family and everything was just too much, in my opinion. Eventually Giovani butts in, and he basically goes on to say something along the lines of Parmmy and Gerana are not being honest, and kind of accusing them of not telling the whole story of what really happened between them. And then Parmmy kind of defends himself because they bring up that, Giovani basically said that Parmmy was Gerana's plan B. And Parmmy doesn't like hearing that at all. He's angry, and he's kind of telling Giovani, I don't want to hear you telling me that I was plan B to Gerana, Gerana's also standing up for Parmmy. And what I found weird about this is I was looking at Gerana and Parmy's body language, and they were holding hands. Parmmy had his arm around her like this. They were holding hands, holding on for dear life. And I was like, for a couple that's not together, it's giving y'all are probably doing something together. But I don't know why. I feel like they're possibly still seeing each other, or maybe hooking up here and there. It just wasn't giving we are not together at all, in my opinion. It's fine for Parmmy to want to defend himself and defend Gerana, but y'all don't have to be holding hands for dear life like that. I thought that was really strange. And Giovani even mentioned it. He was like, for a couple that says they're broken up, why are you guys holding hands like that? Very strange. I think Parmmy is very strange because I personally feel like if somebody's family wasn't going to accept me, I would move on. So I don't really know what Parmmy was trying to hold on to by making anything work after the wedding day and everything. So the host basically asks if Gerana still has feelings for Parmmy now. And Gerana says that she does still have feelings for Parmmy. Parmmy answers the question, and he says that he does not have feelings anymore for Gerana, which kind of surprised me. And then, Gerana pretended to be surprised by hearing this, and she was like saying that she basically regrets not asking Parmmy about how he felt prior to the reunion and everything, which I was confused because in my mind I'm like, so you guys didn't talk about this prior to the reunion? Did you think that like Parmmy was like still in love with you? Like I'm like so confused. I don't know what's going on between Gerana and Parmmy, but good luck to them. Yeah, and Giovani basically, the last thing I'll say is Giovani basically said that Gerana is not really the great woman that she portrays to be or that she tries to be, kind of insinuating that like the Gerana that we're seeing is not really who she is, which I'm like, okay, that's weird, because at the end of the day, like, Giovani, you should not be the one talking, not after what you did on this show. Like, I don't even know why he interjected. I'm like, this isn't even about you. Like, it's giving maybe he still has feelings for Gerana, because I don't even know why he was included in this conversation between Parmmy and Gerana in the first place. Anyway, moving on, they then move on to Ludovika and Davide. Ludovika is basically saying that she dodged a bullet by saying no to Davide at the wedding. And in my head, I'm like, I knew it, because in my prior reviews, I said that something about Davide seemed sleazy. I didn't trust him. And I felt that him saying no to Ludovika was low-key a blessing for Ludovika, because I was like, I don't like this guy. And we see Ludo basically saying that she dodged a bullet when she said no to Davide on the wedding day. Am I surprised to hear this? No, because I always knew there was something up with Davide, and I just felt like he wasn't really a good person, and that, you know, him saying no was probably a blessing in disguise for Ludo. Okay. Basically, Ludo goes on to say that she found out so much more about him after the wedding, where she was just like happy that Davide said no to her at the altar. So Davide basically goes on to say that saying no to her wasn't easy, and that Ludo really fought for them. But in my head, I'm like, yeah, Ludo fought for you guys. You didn't fight. Like, keywords there. Like, Ludo tried to make things work, but Davide checked out a long time ago. You know, it's very obvious. Davide basically then says that he started to tense up at some point during the, the experiment, because there just wasn't an emotional spark there anymore. The host brings up basically that he left his house keys with this, person that he was sleeping with, like his friends with benefits, which I'm like, why is she bringing this up again? But I'm like, there's probably a reason. So Ludo is basically suggesting that Davide was seeing this girl and that he didn't end things prior to coming on the show. So Ludo basically says Davide was sleeping with this girl while they were filming, while he was with Ludo. And I'm like, am I surprised? No, because I never liked Davide, but let me not get derailed. I'm not surprised. Karen chimes in and basically says that this is true. And she says that she actually ran into Davide while she was in like Milan at a market. And they started talking, and Davide was basically telling Karen that he didn't want to sleep with Ludo and that he wasn't attracted to her, and that he wasn't attracted to her physically. And Karen obviously went back to tell Nicola what she had heard from Davide. So Karen is telling Nicola, right, when she gets back, that, Davide is not into Ludo physically, he's not attracted to her. And Nicola literally responds and says, oh yeah, it's because he's seeing someone else. So Davide was basically seeing another girl while he was with Ludo. This is why he said no, guys. And I just want to say that there were some people online saying, oh, it wasn't weird that he left the keys with the mistress. Okay, I could give Davide a pass for that. But what I really didn't like was when he went to have dinner with the parents or lunch with his parents, and his best friend Roberta showed up. I knew this man was for the streets, okay? When Roberta, his so-called female best friend, showed up, I was like, yeah, it's about to, no, this guy ain't shit. I just knew it, because I was like, why the F is she here? Why is she here? Like, there's no reason for you to have brought your female best friend. He said that this was the female version of him. Go marry Roberta then. Like, what are we doing? I knew something was up with this guy. So Ludo dodged a massive bullet at the end of the day. Like, Davide was not your person. He did Ludo a favor by saying no. Thank God this man said no, because he's for the streets. Like, morally, his compass is skewed. Why couldn't you have finished this experiment before you were going to see all your side chicks? Davide's no. Just no, guys. I'm not surprised to hear this, but at the same time, I'm like, really, while you were filming, too much. So basically, after Karen calls, Davide out for seeing someone while he was filming, right? Because Nicola said basically that Davide was seeing someone else. The host asked Davide if he was emotionally free before getting on the show. Davide responds and says that he would basically see this girl from time to time. And he basically says that, Ludo is his female equal, and that he's hoping to have some type of relationship with Ludo even after everything that's happened. And in my head, I'm like, ew, why the hell would she want a relationship with you? Like, that would only benefit you, my guy. Like, you are, no. Ludo shouldn't, no. And I'm thinking he's only saying this to save face because now he's on TV and he looks like a massive villain. So he's trying to build that bridge. But no, like, you could have messaged Ludo in private and said, let's talk and have a conversation and stuff. Don't do this on TV to save face now. No way. So the female host basically says Ludo gained strength and seems more secure within herself. She wishes Ludo well and, gives her nice words of encouragement. The female host gets up and even gives Ludo a massive hug and just says that you will find your person. Ludo gets emotional and she starts crying and says that sometimes she thinks she chooses the wrong guys. But, Ludo will be okay. I think that this situation did make her stronger. And I think that she will find her person. Her person is out there. Okay, so the hosts basically move on to Alessandro and Eliza. And Eliza basically says that there was a moment where she felt very uncomfortable living with Alessandro, and that she was even scared. I don't know if she was implying that he has a bad temper, but I don't really know why she was saying she was scared to live with him. Like, I didn't really like the choice of the word she was using. Like, if you think he has a bad temper, say he has a bad temper. Don't say you're like afraid or you were afraid for your life to live with him. Like, I didn't understand that. Alessandro basically says it's very important to find someone that you're really compatible with and that you guys share similar things. The host asks if Alessandro ever, felt that things could have been worked on. And Alessandro basically says that he did think that there were things they could work on, but unfortunately they were coming from two completely different perspectives and couldn't really see eye to eye. And let's keep it a buck, guys. If Eliza didn't have that stank attitude and was so rude, there probably could have been hope for this couple. It is sad because I think even if Alessandro has a bad temper or whatever, I'm not excusing that. He needs to work on that. But what we saw in terms of how Eliza acted, I think was a really big spoiler for their relationship. Like, there was not a lot of wiggle room. There wasn't a lot to work with because Eliza had this attitude that was so stank. And she didn't just have it towards Alessandro, right? We saw how she even treated her friend that was helping her with the dog. So yeah, that's that. I mean, this was kind of a short part of it where it didn't work out between Alessandro and Eliza, and it doesn't seem like there's any bad blood. They recognize they're different people, and that's that. So the hosts then move on to, the hosts basically move on to Yoni and Alessandro B. They confirm. At first, they try and make it seem like maybe they weren't together. They were kind of teasing, but they confirm that they are still married, which I was so happy to hear because clearly this season has been rough. So they show a flashback to them signing the marriage papers. We see them traveling. It seems like they went to South Korea. They ended up going to Egypt. We see them, they were kind of getting a house together and like renovating a house because they were going to move in together. And just like a lot of happy memories. So I was really happy to see this because I really was rooting for this couple. They were my favorite couple this season because I felt like they were the most normal and unproblematic in terms of everything that we saw. We see Yoni basically say that after the wedding, there was a lot of pressure for them to move in together and that pressure put a lot of strain on their relationship. So she was basically saying that this wasn't an easy thing to deal with. Alessandro B says that they were like arguing every day about this until eventually he was like, okay, like let's move in together. So, things haven't always been smooth sailing, but they were able to kind of work things out. Yoni and Alessandro kind of give some words of encouragement and just explain that they've had difficult times, right? And that Yoni's seen things about him that, obviously she doesn't love, or right, the parts of him that are not great. They have difficulties, they argue, but no matter what, they still have been able to come together. And she thinks that those are the big things that make up loving somebody. It's not just loving somebody when it's easy, it's loving somebody when it's hard. I just do really like this couple, and I think that they have a good mindset to really go the long haul. And the host basically ends, their segment by saying that next they're going to be asking about whether, when Yoni is pregnant. So you can tell that they're already kind of pushing, like, hopefully they do end up having a baby as like the next step. But yeah, I was just really happy to see that this couple actually made it through so far. So yeah, they were my favorite couple this season by far. Then we go to Georgia and Giovani. Giovani basically says that he was totally available to Georgia throughout the experiment. And, he says he never was able to meet her friends or see where she lived or meet her family. So he's basically saying that there were parts of Georgia that he didn't get to see that I guess were part of the reasons why things ended between them. I'm like, okay, Giovani, like the man is clearly still making things up, even at the reunion a year later. Like, really, like you did not like Georgia. Like, we all know that Giovani is just lying and making up excuses, whatever. So Georgia basically says that she would have liked to give things more of a chance with Giovani, but they had a lot of issues, and Georgia basically felt that Giovani painted a picture of himself that wasn't exactly who he really was. And I agree with that 100%. But unfortunately, all the other women in the pods could pick up on Giovani being fake. I don't really know how Georgia missed that. As much as I feel bad for what Giovani put Georgia through, we all have to understand that she also did choose this man when all the other women in the pod swerved him. So Georgia was also not really like seeing things that she could have seen about Giovani, right? Like, yeah, he isn't the person that he was painting in the pods. He was painting a person that wasn't real, right? That was an act. Like, okay, so Giovani basically cuts Georgia off and says he never met her friends and family. He's going off on her about all the things that, he didn't get to see from her, trying to make up excuses as to why things didn't work out. He says he feels that Georgia was not interested in bringing him into her life. And Georgia says, basically, why would she bring him into her life when he acted the way that he did? And he was so self-centered. Like, why would she want to bring someone like that into her life? And in my head, I don't even know why Georgia's even entertaining his conversation with Giovani, because we all watch the show. We all know what kind of person Giovani is. Georgia doesn't even need to like defend herself, right? Because what we saw basically speaks volumes as to who Giovani is. He ain't shit, okay? So I don't even know why Georgia's getting worked up. It's not even worth it. Like, yeah, like everybody sees Giovani's character at the end of the day. So they basically start going back and forth, and, Georgia kind of calls him this 1800s court gesture, kind of making fun of like the way he is and stuff. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, Giovani deserves all the smoke because the guy ain't shit. Like, somebody needs to like lower this ego, because who do you think you are? Giovani basically says that the reason he didn't want to have sex with her was because he needed complexity to have sex, and Georgia was not a complex person. Okay, Giovani, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, what else are you going to pull out the bag? What other things do you have to say about this? Like, at this point, it's just boring. Like, it didn't work out between them. Giovani never liked Georgia. He just strung her along and played with her. And now he's trying to do the same at the reunion, play with her some more. So it is what it is. They eventually bring out Federica, right? And Federica was the girl that Giovani was supposedly texting while they were on their honeymoon in Morocco, okay? And basically Federica says that they met for dinner, right? Because they asked Federica what happened when she met with Giovani. So they met for dinner, had dinner. Giovani drove her home, and Federica says that he kissed her. Giovani just starts denying. He's like, when did I kiss you? When did I kiss you? And in my head, I'm like, Giovani is just doing what Giovani does. Like, of course he has to deny. What else can he do in this scenario? When we all know he probably kissed Federica. So it is what it is. Like, I'm not surprised by this. I don't really know why they brought Federica out, though. I thought that was a little pointless because, okay, so what if they kissed? At that point, Giovani and Georgia were broken up, I mean, it sucks in terms of how quick Giovani just bounced back, but like, I didn't understand the point of having Federica on the stage. So the host basically asked Giovani and Georgia if either of them are seeing anybody else right now. And Georgia basically says she's seeing another guy and that he's great. Yeah. And in my head, I'm like, he's probably a lot better than Giovani. So I'm happy for Georgia. I'm happy to hear this. Giovani responds and says that he's basically seeing someone and that he found the queen that's going to fit into his castle or whatever. And in my head, I'm like, she's so unlucky. Good luck to you, Giovani. Like, come on now. So yeah, that's how that segment ends. And then they go on to Karen and Nicola. So basically, we find out that they are no longer together. This was the couple that I was shocked said yes on the wedding day. So I am not surprised to hear now at the reunion, they did not make it. I am not surprised at all. Nicola was the reason why I didn't think this would work. And yeah, but don't get me wrong. I just didn't see what's the word? I didn't see the connection between them. I didn't. And I felt like Nicola a lot of times was giving very nonchalant. So I don't know what possessed him or Karen to say yes on the wedding day. I really do not know. So let's get into it. After the wedding day, it seems like they had an argument because they live in different places. Basically, Karen said that she was going to pay for a hotel for Nicola to come visit her. And Nicola was like, yeah, just get a hotel. That's fine. Karen supposedly booked a 5-star hotel, a hotel that was maybe a lot nicer and fancier and more expensive than Nicola was ever thinking she would book. This led to a big fight between them where Nicola had some very hurtful things to say about, finances and different things. And because of this, they ended up breaking up. And in my head, I'm like, this was the reason you guys ended up breaking up? Why did you say yes on the wedding day? Why? A petty argument like this and it's over? They never stood a chance. They never stood a chance, which is why I was like, why did you even say yes on the wedding day? Like, what was that even about? Like, this to me, this was so disappointing. Like, break up for a reason that actually makes sense. Over a petty argument? Oh my God. So Nicola basically claims there was a misunderstanding because he thought Karen wanted this fancy lifestyle and that she expected him to basically fund this nice lifestyle that she wanted. Karen responds and she's like, she basically just wanted someone that would meet her 50-50. Like, Lord have mercy. What was Nicola trying to ask for here? Now, what I will say is I do not think Karen should have booked a 5-star hotel. I do not. I mean, what was the point of that? I do think that behavior is odd, but to me, this is something that you can talk about and you can work out. Like, this should never be a conversation that would end to a breakup. The fact that this ended to them, led to them breaking up just shows the lack of commitment on both parts. Especially Nicola. I think Nicola is a big problem in this relationship because I did not see him ever really fighting for Karen. When things went south and they had arguments, that one argument they had when he was like, Karen said, if you, aren't going to see my perspective, I'm going to leave. And Nicola was like, go ahead and leave. That is when I knew this man was not the one. Because if a man is ready to see you walk away and he don't care, that is not a good sign. That is not a good sign. If anything, you need to be committed. If you're not committed, it will never work. Because in a relationship, you will have hard times and there will be so many reasons for you to cut and run. They're not cut out for a relationship. This is ridiculous. Over this argument, it didn't work. That's embarrassing. I would have come to the reunion and made up a lie. This is actually embarrassing. What are we talking about here? So we basically see a series of videos where Nicola is basically trying to he's trying to apologize and he's been trying to text Karen. He's saying in the videos and she's not responding. So we see videos of Nicola trying to get Karen back after all of this happened, but Karen is just not being very receptive to it. Karen says that she wanted him to text her to apologize. Nicola says he wanted to go on holiday with her after that, and that was his way of maybe apologizing, but that she wasn't even willing to go on holiday with him. And in my head, I'm like, Karen probably just wanted you to come to the terms that you had said some hurtful things and really just apologize and man up to that, right? But Nicola's out here trying to book flights for trips. And this is where the miscommunication between them, I don't think it would ever work. Nah. Yeah, I was surprised these people said yes at the altar, but I'm more surprised to hear on the reunion day that it ended because of a petty argument. It is kind of disappointing. You guys never wanted to fight for this. That's what it's giving to me. So there's still no real conclusion on where they're at. Even though they do end up like kissing while they're on the couch in the reunion, it seems like there could still be potential to rekindle. But as of now, their status is that they're broken up. So yeah, that's basically how this reunion ends, guys. I thought it was pretty good. Rooting for Yoni and Alessandro B. Those were the only ones to make it out of this season. And yeah, I thought this reunion was pretty good. We did learn some new information. Davide ain't shit. I just have to say that again in case people didn't hear it in the back. He ain't shit. And with that, I am going to end this reunion. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.